Chris is a talented photographer, and his girlfriend Rose is about to take him home to meet her family for the weekend. On paper, they're a perfect match, but Chris can't shake a bit of nerves. He's a black man about to meet his white girlfriend's parents for the first time, and he's not sure how they'll react. Rose keeps reassuring him that her parents are the furthest thing from racist. Still, on the drive over, Chris calls his best friend Rod, an airport security officer, just to thank him for dog-sitting while he's away. Little does he know, that call is going to matter a lot more later. When they arrive, it's clear Rose's family is loaded. Her dad, Dean, is a respected neurosurgeon. Her mom, Missy, is a psychiatrist. Dean gives Chris the grand tour of their sprawling estate, and Chris can't help but notice something odd. The household staff, a groundskeeper and a housekeeper, are both black. Dean explains it away with a heartfelt story. They used to work for his parents, and after his parents passed, he just couldn't bring himself to let them go. Out on the porch, the family mentions they're hosting their annual get-together tomorrow. The conversation turns personal when Chris opens up about his mother. She died in a car accident when he was a kid. Sensing the mood shift, Rose's parents quickly change the subject, noticing Chris smokes and suggesting he try hypnosis to quit, apparently Missy's specialty. Then the housekeeper, Georgina, comes in with tea, and something about her expression is off. A strange mix of joy and distress. Missy snaps at her to leave the room. Before Chris can even process it, Rose's younger brother Jeremy barges in and starts grilling Chris about his fighting ability, tossing out some deeply uncomfortable ideas about race and physical strength. He nearly challenges Chris to a fight at the dinner table before the parents step in. Later, alone in her room, Rose apologizes and vents about how strange her family has been acting. That night, Chris can't sleep. He steps outside for a smoke and sees Walter, the groundskeeper, sprinting straight at him in the dark, then blowing right past without a word. Rattled, he turns to see Georgina standing at a window, staring blankly at her own reflection, seemingly not even registering that he's there. Back inside, Chris finds Missy sitting calmly with a cup of tea and decides to join her. She asks if he'd like to try that hypnosis session now. Before he can really answer, she starts stirring her tea, and the sound of the spoon against the cup has an unsettling pull on him. In the dim light, she starts asking about the night his mother died. He tries to resist, but the sound keeps drawing the memory out of him until he's in tears and completely frozen. Then, with a single word, sink, Missy sends him spiraling into a terrifying mental void. He's paralyzed, sinking, unable to claw his way back. She calls this place the sunken place. Chris jolts awake in Rose's bed the next morning, brushing it off as a bad dream. He plugs in his dead phone and heads outside with his camera, trying to shake the strange night. He runs into Walter again, but something's still off. His eyes seem distant, and he talks with an odd, old-fashioned accent. When Walter casually asks if the hypnosis worked, Chris realizes, with a jolt, that last night wasn't a dream at all. He tells Rose everything, and she apologizes for her mother. Strangely enough, though, the hypnosis actually did kill his urge to smoke. Soon, the annual party kicks off, and dozens of wealthy, older guests show up, nearly all of them white, and all acting strangely around Chris. One woman crudely asks Rose if Chris is better in bed because he's black. Another guest remarks on how black skin is in fashion. Uncomfortable and looking for an exit, Chris wanders off with his camera and spots another black man at the party, Logan King, who, like Walter, talks and carries himself like someone decades older than he looks. He also meets Jim Hudson, a blind art dealer who lost his sight to a genetic condition. Unlike everyone else, Jim doesn't bring up race at all. He's genuinely a fan of Chris's photography. It's a brief, normal moment in an increasingly bizarre day. Chris heads upstairs to clear his head, not realizing the party has gone completely silent behind him. Upstairs, he notices his phone charger has been unplugged. Suspicious, he checks around and finds Georgina nearby. He assumes it was her. He calls Rod to vent and tell him about the hypnosis session. Rod, only half joking, floats the theory that the family might be turning black people into servants for the wealthy guests. Chris brushes it off. Talking to Georgina afterward, he admits how uneasy all these white faces make him feel, and Georgina looks like she wants to say something, but stops herself. She starts crying, insists the Armitages treat her like family, and walks off, leaving Chris more confused than ever. Back downstairs, Chris joins Dean and a group of guests and pulls Logan into the conversation. He secretly snaps a photo of Logan to send to Rod, thinking he recognizes him, forgetting to turn off the flash. The sudden burst of light seems to jolt something loose in Logan. He becomes frantic, gets a nosebleed, and lunges at Chris, screaming for him to get out. Dean quickly smooths things over with a party game, but Rose notices Chris is shaken and suggests they step outside for a walk. While they're gone, the guests start a strange bidding game, with Chris, unknowingly, as the prize. Jim Hudson wins with the highest bid. Out in the woods, Chris tells Rose the hypnosis has left him feeling off, and he wants to leave. He sends Rod the photo of Logan, and Rod recognizes him immediately. It's Andre Hayworth, an old acquaintance who vanished after starting a relationship with a much older woman. woman. Before they can dig deeper, Chris's phone dies. Now, thoroughly unsettled, Chris tells Rose they're leaving immediately. She goes downstairs to grab her bag. Alone, Chris notices an open closet and looks inside, and finds photos of Rose with a string of past black boyfriends, including Walter and Georgina. It hits him. He's not the first. Rose returns, suddenly unable to find her car keys. As they head downstairs, they find Jeremy blocking the front door and Missy standing silently in the foyer with her tea. Dean appears, calmly talking about the gifted white mind needing a stronger vessel. The pieces click into place, and Chris realizes Rose has been in on it the whole time. When he lunges at Jeremy, Missy taps her teacup, and the trigger sound drops him instantly into the sunken place. Helpless, he watches as the family carries him down to the basement. Back in the city, Rod, worried after Chris goes quiet, looks into Andre and finds a missing persons report. Meanwhile, Chris wakes up strapped to a chair. A TV flickers on, playing a recording of Rose's grandfather explaining the real plan. Chris was chosen for his physical traits. Then the recording of the tea being stirred starts, and he's pulled back under. The next day, Rod goes to the police with his suspicions, but they laugh him off. Meanwhile, Chris wakes to find Jim Hudson on screen, calmly laying out the truth. The Armitage family transplants the consciousness of aging guests into the bodies of young black people, giving them new bodies and a twisted kind of immortality. Jim specifically wants Chris's eyes. Once the procedure is done, Chris's own mind will be pushed aside, trapped in the sunken place while someone else drives. But Chris finds a way out. Right before the trigger recording plays again, he pulls stuffing from the chair's armrest and plugs his ears, blocking the sound. When Jeremy comes to bring him in for the procedure, Chris catches him off guard and fights him off. With Jeremy down, he grabs a mounted set of deer antlers off the wall. When Dean comes looking for Jeremy, Chris uses the antlers to stop him for good. A knocked-over candle starts a fire in the operating room, trapping Jim Hudson inside. Chris heads upstairs and runs into Missy. He knocks the teacup out of her hand before she can use it against him, but she manages to wound his hand with a sharp object during the struggle. He fights her off and stops her as well. Near the front door, a badly hurt Jeremy grabs him in a chokehold. Chris fights free and makes sure he's down for good. Upstairs, completely unaware of what's happening below, Rose is calmly listening to music and scrolling through photos of shirtless black men, already lining up her next target. Chris finds the car keys and speeds off. In the chaos of escaping, he accidentally hits Georgina with the car. Haunted by memories of his own mother's hit-and-run death, he can't just leave her. He pulls her into the car despite the danger to himself. Rose hears the crash and comes out with a rifle, revealing in her rage that Georgina and Walter are actually her own grandparents, their minds transplanted into younger bodies. Georgina, disoriented, attacks Chris, and in the struggle, the car crashes, killing her. Injured but alive, Chris tries to get away on foot. Walter, still under her grandfather's control, tackles him. In a last-ditch move, Chris uses his camera flash, and it's enough to snap the real Walter back into control of his own body for a moment. Walter turns the rifle on Rose, shoots her, then turns it on himself, finally ending the family's scheme for good. Exhausted and wounded, Chris can't bring himself to finish Rose off, even after everything she's done. Just then, flashing lights appear, but instead of the police, it's an airport security vehicle. It's Rod. He got there just in time. The two drive off together, leaving Rose behind, and the nightmare finally ends.